Welcome to Monday Morning Dharma on May 4th. Thank you for being here. Um, this morning, we're going to meditate on refuge practice. But before we do our meditation, I wanted to talk just a little bit about some possible answers to the homework assignment that I issued a couple of weeks ago. Looking around frantically thinking, what was our homework assignment? What makes a worldly thing worldly? Yeah, what makes a worldly thing worldly? And I'd like to offer some possibilities of what constitutes a worldly phenomenon. One is very straightforward. In the sutras, there are what are listed as the eight worldly concerns. So that makes it pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Um, I used to present it. I'm gonna go through the eight worldly concerns in the way I used to present them, and then I'm gonna give you kind of a more accurate, actually more correct and formalized presentation of the eight worldly concerns. So, how I used to refer to them are um, fame and shame, being concerned with having fame or being shamed, having a shameful reputation, fame and shame, pleasure and pain, wealth and resources, praise and blame. Did I say praise and blame? Fame and shame, praise and blame, wealth and poverty, sense pleasures and sense pain. It's kind of easier to remember them that way, and I'll send out an email for those of you who have a copy of Joyful Path of Good Fortune. The eight worldly concerns are listed there. Um, a more accurate and kind of more proper way of naming the eight worldly concerns is one, being concerned with having a good reputation, being distressed over not having a good reputation. Okay. Um, wishing to have lots of sense pleasures, um, being distressed over not having sense pleasures. And like that, same with praise, being praised, not, distress over not receiving praise, and having wealth, material wealth, distress over not having material wealth. So that's the more formalized. So kind of that's by the book. Another way we might look at worldly concerns are impermanence. It can be said that if the thing is impermanent, then it is of this world, kind of by definition, a worldly item, and therefore not a qualified object of refuge. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about impermanence. And don't take my word for it. Tilopa in the Ganges Mahamudra says, thoroughly examine mundane things or things of the world. If you do, you will see that none of them persist. None of them are capable of permanence. And in that sense, they are like dreams and magical illusions. Dreams and magical illusions are meaningless, therefore generate renunciation and abandon mundane concerns or abandon worldly concerns. Okay? The third one, a little more kind of abstract, kind of and a little more hardcore. This came from one of my Sangha brothers, Eric Shader, a dear friend, respected Sangha brother. We were talking about this question, what constitutes a worldly thing? He said, a worldly concern or a worldly pursuit is anything that is done in the name of achieving happiness in this life, as opposed to doing things in the name of ensuring happiness and comfort and resources in our future lives. Okay. So, anyways, a lot of talk about worldly concerns, worldly issues. The whole point of it is they are not to be, they're not reliable objects of refuge because they're always changing, right? Or one of the other things that we talked about, they just don't deliver the goods. Refuge practice says that the three qualified objects of refuge, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And we've been talking a lot about Dharma over the last few classes. And that's going to be our object of refuge this morning is the determination, the decision to take refuge in wisdom teachings, in wisdom-based practices, also known as Dharma. Okay? So without further ado, why don't we go ahead and settle in for some meditation? Please take care to ensure that your spine is straight and relaxed. Give yourself permission to rest and relax and to allow the world to be as it is. Allow the world to be the only way it can be, which is as it is in this moment. On the inhalation, please silently recite the word rest to yourself. At the top of the inhalation, silently say the word relax. On the exhalation, silently say the word allow. And repeat this mantra silently, mounted upon the breath for the next moment or two. Now, please gently transition into meditation on the inner body. Please become the silent observer of sensations within your inner body. This morning's Lamrim meditation is on refuge practice. You can know with absolute certainty that the nature of your mind, the nature of your consciousness, is that of spacious clarity, quiet stillness, vastness, unsurpassable peace, and luminosity. For some of us, we are prevented from experience this clarity and luminosity because of confused states of mind known as delusions. Delusions such as jealousy, resentment, frustration, desire, ignorance, and so forth obstruct our ability to experience and abide in the peaceful, blissful, spacious clarity of our own mind. Dharma, wisdom teachings provide us a means for removing those obstacles. Therefore, it is wise and advisable for us to take refuge in Dharma, the teachings and practices that will enable us to remove the obstacles and obscurations from our mind, thus leaving us with the blissful, peaceful, spacious clarity. Contemplating in this way, we arrive at the conclusion, I must practice Dharma. I will practice Dharma. Please gently rest with this determination while you meditate on the inner body. That is, please conjoin your meditation on the inner body with the determination, I will practice Dharma. I will practice Dharma. I must practice Dharma. I will practice Dharma. Please gently redirect your awareness. Please become aware again of this collection of parts we've agreed to label physical body, and allow your breathing to become less shallow. Taking deeper and deeper breaths, become aware again of the garments of clothing resting on the surface of physical body. Become aware again of your surroundings inside the room that you are occupying. Deeper and deeper breaths, becoming aware again of the world that exists outside of the room that you are occupying. We dedicate all of the merit from this morning's meditation to world peace. May all beings without exception be completely free from all forms of emotional and physical suffering. May all beings without exception enjoy inner and outer freedom. May we enjoy inner and outer peace. Completely fill up your belly and lungs with air, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes and bring your meditation to an end. Thank you. Thank you, and welcome back. And welcome back, Tina. So nice to have you back. Yep, yep. So, like with this thing on impermanence, it would be understandable if we were thinking, no, wait a minute, like don't take refuge in impermanent things. Like everything is impermanent. So is that to mean I'm supposed to abstain from everything? No, not necessarily. Um, by the way, for the record, there are three phenomena that I know of that are permanent phenomena. And we'll talk about what those are another time. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But the point of um, recognizing that impermanent phenomena are worldly phenomena is just for us to be clear that these are therefore not qualified objects of refuge. You know, nobody's saying don't enjoy sweet treats and, don't travel or, do some of these other things that we enjoy doing. It just the advice to us is to just have eyes wide open about the potential for these objects to protect us from suffering, worldly objects to protect us from suffering. Yeah. They won't carry the day. They might give some temporary relief because they're impermanent phenomena, right? But in terms of lasting, qualified, valid, reliable objects of refuge, Buddhist doctrine says there are three. There are three objects of refuge. Sometimes they're referred to as the three jewels. The three jewels. And up till now, we've been talking about almost exclusively about the Dharma jewel. The Dharma jewel being an object of refuge, these wisdom teachings and wisdom practices. And just, I can't let this moment pass without just like getting it exactly right. It reminds me of a story. I think I might have shared this before in a previous class. Like when I was a Dharma newbie at the center, the little center in Missoula, Montana, a really sweet little center. And I didn't know anything, but I knew what Dharma was. At least I knew what the definition was. And there was this, my teacher back in Missoula was this monk named Dawa, and he was a British guy, and he was kind of no nonsense and just crazy, crazy smart, and and not that that matters, but crazy, crazy insightful. And so, I'm running around being a newbie, and he says to me, he says, "So if somebody were to ask you what is Dharma, what would you say?" And I said, "Yes, I know this one. I know this one. Yes. Wisdom, teachings, and practices." And he goes, "No." And I said, "Oh, I got that one wrong too. I get everything wrong. I got this one wrong too." And he says, "Well," he says, "you're kind of right." He says, "Dharma are internal realizations that protect you from suffering." That's really what the Dharma jewel is, internal realizations that protect us from suffering. And it's the wisdom, teachings, and practices that give us this inner wisdom, this inner protection. Do you see that? So that's truly, truly what the Dharma jewel is. The Buddha jewel, um, wisdom beings who have completed the path, um, beings plural. Okay, the one that we identify with usually in the Buddhist doctrine and Buddhist history is Shakyamuni Buddha, the one, Prince Siddhartha, he became Buddha Shakyamuni 2,600 years ago. And everybody thinks, "Oh, that's Buddha, that's the Buddha." Well, no, there have been many beings who have completed the path and achieved complete awakening, right? Attained Buddhahood. You can find them in books in history, Tilopa. I recite Tilopa all the time, the Ganges Mahamudra. He was an enlightened being. Um, Atisha, who wrote Lamp for the Path to Enlightenment, the text that we're studying now, the Lam Rim Meditations, he was an enlightened being. I would submit to you that there are enlightened beings in your life who you know right now. Yeah. The funny thing about enlightened beings is they won't tell you that they're enlightened. Yeah. Even if asked under direct examination, they won't tell you, "Yeah, I've completed the path." And I kind of think about this like imagined conversation that I would love to have, like kind of I've had this conversation in my head over and over with my spiritual guide, my guru, Geshe Kelsang Gyatso, and say to him, if I had like a one-on-one audience with him and sat down and said, "Okay, Geshe, just between you and me, right? Just a couple of folks talking. Have you done it? Have you completed the path? Really? Have you just, I promise I won't tell anybody. Have you completed it?" And possible answers would be, "Well, yeah, I guess I kind of have. Shucks, yep, I'm an enlightened being." Or he might say, "No, I haven't. I'm an ordinary being like you. I've still got a ways to go." You know, I feel quite confident he wouldn't reply either of those ways. I think he would say, "Whether I'm enlightened or not doesn't matter. It's what you think that matters, right? It's your perception that matters, right?" Because how many times have we said over and over, and we get tripped up going down lines of this reasoning like this? Is it this way? Is it really this way? Or is it really that way? I got to know right now, Geshe Kelsang, straight up, what is it? ham-fisted pounding on the table. I need this answer. We create it all with our mind. We create everything with our mind, including enlightened beings. There is no enlightened being existing separate from our mind, right? There is no objective reality. For us, there is no reality other than our experience of it. So, the whole point of the path, and this is just a perfect case study, the whole point of the path is for us to purify our mind so we have pure view. Thus, of course, Candace is enlightened. Of course, she's an awakened being. She, she might do, Candace and I don't know each other really well outside of this context, so I can't really speak in an informed way. But to the extent that she does things like loses her temper or, binges on ice cream when no one is watching, whatever it might be, you know, that's not going to deter me from thinking, yeah, she's doing these things for my benefit, right? Losing her temper, eating ice cream. She's like reflecting back to me with the mirror of Dharma, yeah, what I'm supposed to learn, right? Isn't that what gurus do? Show us what we're supposed to learn? Thank you, Candace, for showing me what I'm supposed to. If she does, in fact, lose her temper or binge on ice cream, I don't know that she does.
I do.
It's really important. It's really profound. Speaking of ham-fisted pounding on the table arguments, I've had them in like formal Dharma classes with a Sangha friend. And the thinking was, a conversation we were having was, was the guy, one of my Sangha friends, a really dear friend, says, well, Geshe saying he might be enlightened, he might not, but I'll go with it and hopefully it'll work out in the end. I'm gonna give it a try. And I was shaking my head in class, and he says, why are you shaking your head? I said, because I disagree. And he said, why do you disagree? I said, because we were talking about faith at the time. Faith is a wisdom mind that realizes we create enlightened beings with our mind. We create enlightened teachings and practices with our mind, right? We create enlightened Sangha friends with our mind. So it is with everything. So it is with everything. Thus, I feel totally confident saying, like, Talopa, Atisha, Jaisangkapa, Geshe Kelsang, Milarepa, all of these, yes, they're enlightened beings. Yes. Who says? I do. Because there's no objective reality other than my experience of it. There is no objective reality to be found. And guess what? Life is funner being surrounded by enlightened beings, as opposed to ordinary deluded beings that I create with my mind. Door one or door two? Door one, ordinary deluded beings, or two, awakened beings. Which door do you want? I'll take two. Thank you very much. I ran over 4 minutes. Thanks, you guys. I hope it was worth it. On Friday, we will talk more about Sangha, our spiritual community, the third of the three jewels. Okay. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you, Jeff.
Bye bye.
Thank you,
And
Jeff.
most welcome.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.